Just recently going through some old photos of Bali and in particular Kuta Beach, we thought we'd come down and just have a look and compare and see what the difference is between Kuta now and Kuta of the 1980s. Most of us have heard about the beach erosion, and the erosion of Kuta Beach is surprising to some, definitely not a recent thing. It's been going on for quite some time, and while the visible impacts have felt more extreme of late, the shoreline has actually been locked in a losing battle with the ocean for about 50 years. And that stems back to, firstly, the introduction of the international airport, where the runway was extended out into the bay, and that was the start of things to come, really. And then with the 80s and 90s and the development along the foreshore, Kuta exploded into popularity and rapid development, further destabilised the delicate dunes that were there. Massive hotel constructions, seawalls, and the removal of natural coastal vegetation for the sake of tourism took away the beach's ability to naturally absorb wave energy, and that sped up the sand loss. And so by the late 80s and 90s, scientists were already publishing studies warning that massive sections of Kuta were in danger of vanishing. And even though the problem is decades old, there is a heightened public awareness thanks to social platforms. So let's go and have a look and compare. We're in downtown Kuta on the beach actually, and we're just going to have a look at what Kuta Beach looks like these days. It's slightly changed a little bit from all the chaos that's happened to it, from the storms and the high tides. So let's have a quick squiz at it. So there's obviously a lot of offerings that go to waste down here in the cracks of these rocks that they've put to keep the path side stable. But the beach, it is a low tide, as you can see from there, but it is sort of as expansive as we remember back in the 80s. It used to be a really wide beach, but it didn't have all of these rocks sort of holding back the sand, making sure that the tides didn't come up here and wash everything away. Yeah, it's just got a different look about it. Got the path, which helps. We haven't been harassed too much.
Not yet, we will be.
Not much, but we've had one, and he walked away quite nicely after we said no thanks. But yeah, the path's in good order. You've got the plastic chairs are everywhere as they used to be. And even a nice little table setting down there underneath the umbrella. But yeah, we've even got a tanker up there over by the airport, actually, by the runway. It looks like it. It's towards Jimbaran. Maybe it's got something to do with the sand pumping. So yeah, there you go. So that's Kuta looking today. Looks quite good. There's rubbish, of course, but you're always going to get rubbish at Kuta. So let's go and have a bit of a walk up here. Mark's setting off down this direction. You've got the usual bintang sellers, coconut sellers, and sightseers everywhere.
Hey, don't do like this.
So if we were in Kuta, we'd normally come around about here and plonk ourselves down with a coldie, but as you can see, that actually we've got a cliff face now, but that used to be all beach, and this was not eroded. This has obviously been built up from the beach level, but yeah, and the path has stopped. We've run out of path over there, so I guess they're going to continue that on, but I'm not sure how stable this is, whether it's going to be able to be continued on along here. Got the usual sellers. They're not too aggressive, but you know, they're leaving us alone as much as possible. And but at a low tide, it looks quite good. We've got a nice reflection of the afternoon sun on there, and it's flat as. A few people out on the boards, but yeah, it's just a little bit different as to what most people would know it from, back at least from 1980. So how are you finding Kuta Beach, Mark?
Well, it's a shame all the beanbag area's gone and it's just all rocks now, but all the sellers are still here with their bracelets and sarongs and bintang.
And a bintang and a cold coconut. Yeah.
They got it all.
But if they ever fix this place up, it might be okay. So the further we walk on past Kuta Beach into Legian Beach and Seminyak, the beach widens out and looks quite nice, and it's a lot more improved for tourist use and local use than what Kuta Beach is at the moment. But what things have been put in place to try and save Kuta Beach? Can it be saved? Well, in fact, over the last decade, saving Kuta Beach has turned into a massive multi-million-dollar game of tug-and-war between human engineering and the Indian Ocean. Because the airport runway blocked the natural current that replenishes the sand, the beach cannot really heal itself. So the strategy has shifted from temporary band-aid solutions to highly aggressive structural overhauls. So in the 80s and 90s, when the erosion first became critical, the initial response was building concrete seawalls and rock groins. However, these often backfired. Waves hit the hard structures, creating a turbulent undertow that sucked even more sand out to sea, causing the beach to drop steeply like we see now. In the 2000s, backed by Japanese international cooperation, the government launched the Bali Beach Conservation Project. They dredged millions of cubic metres of sand from offshore and pumped it into Kuta Beach to artificially widen it. However, it didn't take long before that all washed away. And now the recent crisis caused by possible climate change, monsoons and the rising sea levels completely destroyed parts of the iconic beachfront pedestrian paths, and the beach had receded by 15 to 20 metres since the 1980s, leaving tourists scrambling down jagged sand cliffs and now these rock faces just to touch the water. So the current strategy and the future plan, instead of putting walls on the sand, the government has constructed 5 massive offshore breakwaters, each about 110 metres long, positioned out in the ocean. These underwater and nearshore stone barriers are designed to absorb and shatter the energy of the heavy swells before they hit the coast. However, before the breakwaters become operational, a whole heap of sand is going to be dumped on the beach. The hope is that the breakwaters blocking the heaviest waves, the newly pumped sand will stay put. We'll see. And there's also been plans to fix the offshore reef system to create a more stable, dynamic marine ecosystem. If the breakwaters perform as engineered, Kuta will successfully retain a wide and stable and walkable golden shoreline, maybe for the next few decades, but who knows. However, it is a delicate balance. Local surfers and vendors have voiced concerns that altering the wave patterns could impact on Kuta's world-famous surf breaks, and Kuta's future will depend entirely on whether these engineering fixes can save the sand without killing the surf culture that made the beach famous way back when in the first place. So will Kuta Beach ever get back to the 80s or not? Or should we just all go to Canggu?